Hello, and thank you for tuning in to a TripX DC live walk. It is Sunday, February 20th, 2022, and my name is Rob. I'm a tour guide and the founder of TripX DC Tours. So if this is your first time on the TripX DC YouTube channel, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. This is a live stream, so I'm going to be walking around live this sunny Sunday afternoon. But if you are watching this on the replay, leave a comment. Let me know if you're planning to visit Washington, D.C. this year, 2022, or in the future, and if you are, what you are most looking forward to doing, and if you've ever been to the Wharf before. Now, I am not at the Wharf right now. If you have been to D.C. before, you might recognize that building behind me. That is the Spy Museum, and that is because I am at L'Enfant Plaza. And the reason I am starting up here is because every time I talk about the Wharf, some people say, well, that sounds cool, but how do I get there? Because if you look at the Metro map, there is no station called the Wharf or anything like that. And for most people, the best way to get here is to take the Metro to L'Enfant Plaza and then to walk. It's about a 10-minute walk. So I am going to show you how to do that. If you don't care about how to do this because you're going to walk or you're going to bike or you're staying at a hotel at the Wharf and you don't care about this, then you can skip ahead about 10 minutes if you are watching this on the replay, and that is when I will arrive at the actual Wharf. And if you are joining me here live, go ahead and say hello in the chat and where you are tuned in from. And if you're planning to visit this year, I'm always curious to know. Dave Wheeler, an early bird from Los Osos, California. Good to see you there, Dave. Welcome, welcome. And PBX says hello, going to be in the Wharf area in DC from March to June in various hotels. Ah, that is cool. There's 3 hotels open at the Wharf right now, so I'm curious to know if you're staying at all 3 of them and what your decision process was. Now, this building right across the little way here, it's this big glass cube looking building. If you go inside that building and you go down the stairs, you will be in the L'Enfant Plaza food court. And if you follow the signs, walk all the way down the food court, you will eventually get to the Metro. So if you're coming to L'Enfant Plaza, take the Metro. Now the tricky thing about the L'Enfant Plaza station is that there are 4 exits and they all go to different places. And if you use the wrong one, it can be a bit overwhelming and confusing because you're in a place where you weren't expecting. So the easiest way to get to this side, the big glass cube and the Spy Museum side, is to look for the astronaut, the big spaceman in the L'Enfant Plaza Metro. And it is on the upper level. It's on the green and yellow line platforms. So look for the big astronaut on the wall. Once you're here and you see it, you'll know, oh, that's the astronaut. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And once you find that, then you can make your way up into the food court and out over there. So then you'll be out here at the Spy Museum. Spy Museum used to be over the other side of downtown, so they used to be in Northwest. They used to be near Capital One Arena, the big Martin Luther King Jr. Library. They moved over here to L'Enfant Plaza 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years. I'm losing track of the years, of course, with COVID and everything, but they more than doubled their space over at the new location. So if you've been to the new Spy Museum, let me know if you liked it. I have been. I am a fan. It's not a free museum, and to some people that matters, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. All right, good morning to everyone who is tuned in. Bat Dog from Salt Lake. Good to see you there, Bat Dog. And Eddie Saunders. Good to see you there, my friend, from a sunny Raleigh, North Carolina. It is very sunny here today. Not sure how much the camera is picking that up, but I might have to pull out the sunglasses in a little bit. I do have pretty poor eyes that don't do well in bright sunlight, so we'll see. Marv from Dallas. Good afternoon, Marv. And Kenesha from Happy Sunday from TPA, I believe that is Tampa, Florida. And Simon Elder from Southern Bavaria, planning to visit Washington, D.C. in April. We're almost there, only 2 months away. It's almost spring. And Sarah L. says hi. Hi, Sarah. So once you get off the Spy Museum, you'll walk down the promenade here. I like to walk in the middle. It's a nice big open space. The first year that the Spy Museum was open, they actually set up tables and chairs in here. And I always thought that was pretty funny because it seems like a good idea in theory, but if you look around here, imagine this in July. Imagine sitting on a metal chair out here in July. So good intentions, but didn't quite work out as planned. And JC coming to DC in March, staying at the Hilton at the Navy Yard and touring apartments. Excellent. Good luck finding an apartment there, JC. And PBX says the Spy Museum is awesome. Now this little bus here on the right that just went past, that is the Wharf shuttle. That was paused for a very long time. Because of COVID, they paused the Wharf shuttle. But if you stay at the Wharf, or you're visiting the Wharf, you can take that, and it basically just makes a little loop around here. It goes from the Wharf to the L'Enfant Plaza Metro entrance, and then it goes up to over by the Air and Space Museum. So it's very, very walkable. But if you don't want to walk it, not physically able to walk it, you can take that Wharf shuttle too. Pretty nice little amenity there. All right, now, we made it to the end of the promenade, crossed over the street. I like to take this little staircase over here to get over to the Wharf. Now, if you go straight ahead, if you take this ramp, you can actually go over the river and you'll be on East Potomac Park. It says Haynes Point, that's the end of the park, but ramp to Haynes Point via bridge. So you can take this bridge on foot, though I mostly take it on bike. It goes on the side of the interstate bridge over here, which the first time you do it can be a little overwhelming, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. All right, I will be very careful going down the stairs here with my camera. It's about 39, 40 degrees right now in Washington, D.C. Bit of a breezy day. Hopefully not picking up too much wind on the microphone. Yesterday, Saturday, was extremely windy. Tried to get out and record a video and was not successful. I've been trying to film more videos outdoors this year, but the weather has not been cooperative with me so far. We'll see if my luck changes. Sarah L. says OKC. Maybe that means Oklahoma City, I believe. And Jay Stewart, good to see you, my friend. Just got home from an afternoon out. Good to hear it, Jay. Jay, it's one of these days when Capital Weather Gang will often say, it looks nicer than it feels. It's extremely sunny out here today, but it is a bit brisk. Only about 40 degrees, so not so cold that I have to pull out the hot hands hand warmers again, but a little chilly, So I'll probably be out for only about an hour today. I'll do the Insider's Extended Walk after that. All right, go ahead and cross over here. So I'm going to do a big loop around here at the Wharf. First I'm going to do, I guess, what I consider the outside, meaning the side facing Main Avenue. And then I'll double back on what I call the inside, which is really the side facing the Washington Channel. So if my timer's right, that took less than 10 minutes to get over here from the Spy Museum. So it's a short walk, very doable, and I was not walking especially fast either. All right, PBX says, staying at the Wharf and the Thompson and Courtyard at the Navy Yard. Booked 6 months ago and got great deals. Happy to hear that the videos have been helpful. Sometimes if you book early, you can get those amazing rates. I always try to book early. I know it's not feasible for everybody, but it is what I try to do. Now, Unlimited Biking has moved down here to the Wharf. They used to be up the hill, back up near the Spy Museum at L'Enfant Plaza. They have moved down here, which I think is a better location, to be honest. So if you want to rent any kind of wheeled device, a bike, rollerblades, a scooter, you can do it in there. And it is a better option than Capital Bike Share and Scooter Share in some instances. For example, the most obvious one is if you are traveling with kids. Kids cannot ride Capital Bike Share. You have to be at least 16 years old to ride. But you can definitely rent kids' bikes, get helmets, and all the gear if you go to a place like that. And Bat Dog likes the Spy Museum, says it was enjoyable. Today's adventure, hello from sunny Phoenix. Coming to DC last week in March. All right, that's going to be the first week of the Cherry Blossom Festival. And I have a hunch that it is going to be a very busy week. I should say I have a hunch that it's going to be a very busy Cherry Blossom Festival month in general. Just based on the number of tours that have booked for March and just what everyone's been telling me their plans are. Plus the fact that for a lot of people, this is their first time coming to the Cherry Blossoms in 3 years. 2019 was the last time a lot of people came. And so I think people are just, they're not going to wait any longer. It's an outdoor activity. It's happening. It's back in person this year. I think people are going to come. All right, now, before I cross over here, let me go halfway here. Most water features in Washington, D.C. are turned off, including the fountain here at the Wharf. So don't be surprised if you come to Washington, D.C. in February and you don't see any water turned on anywhere. Now, Shop Made in D.C., one of my recommended spots for souvenirs. People sometimes ask me, what's a good place to get souvenirs? And you have options. You could go to a museum gift store. Those are usually pretty good. You could go to one of the souvenir vendor carts on the National Mall, and you pretty much know what you're going to get there. Very standard tourist souvenirs. Or you can go to a store like Shop Made in DC or Steadfast Supply for some unique items made locally. Spencer Anderson, hello from Annapolis. Good to see you there, my friend. And Hiro from Japan tuned in again. It's got to be the middle of the night in Japan. So you are a night owl, Hiro. Eddie Saunders today is watching the live stream on the big screen TV and running the chat on a laptop. Good to hear it. This one's not in 4K though. But Eddie did recently tell me, or left a comment on my video, if you want to see the cherry blossoms in 4K, I did record a 4K quote-unquote virtual tour last April and posted that. It's a narrated walk around the tidal basin. It's about 1 hour long. It is in 4K. I thought it turned out pretty well. So if you just can't wait till spring, want to see those cherry blossoms now, give it a look. It's up. I thought it was a pretty good video. And Eddie says the shuttle is great, especially in the rain. That is a good point. The Wharf shuttle, very handy if it is raining. You don't want to walk all the way up the hill and get wet. I just don't personally like waiting. So if the shuttle runs once every 15 minutes, I always feel like with my luck, I have to wait the full 15 minutes. Okay, Dave Wheeler says, what's the temp today? It is around 40 degrees, I would say. Feels colder with the wind chill. Not too strong of a wind. More like a stiff breeze, I suppose you could say. All right, now a few spots I want to point out over here. These are good spots if you are visiting the area. So first is Toastique. I know it's a gourmet, it says gourmet toast, which I can hear the eyes rolling already. But they actually do have good food and smoothies. They have good food and smoothies. And Colada Shop, which is Cuban food, but they have very good coffee. And so if you're visiting over here and looking for a light meal or coffee or something like that, give either of these a try. Now on a nice summer day or spring day, there would be people at these tables, and they would also have the windows open up over here so you could order at the window and They let the fresh air inside. But not today. Today is too cold for that. And then this is extra seating for Colada Shop as well. So it's not just those 2 tiny tables over there. Okay, Gary Sorensen, hello from Wisconsin. Good to see you there, Gary. Thanks for tuning in. And Vivian Young from New York City. Thank you for tuning in today, Vivian. What's it like in New York today? Is it a nice crisp winter day like here? And JC, all right, no wind on the mic. Good to hear it. Glad to hear it. Bat Dog hates the stairs. I'm way behind on the comments, obviously. But I will say about the stairs is that it was a huge deal when those stairs opened, because before the stairs, the only way you could get down to the wharf was to go all the way around on the sidewalk, and it was a very circuitous route, or you had to extremely awkwardly kind of stumble down on the hill on the grass. And I saw many, many people do that, and I saw more than a few wipe out on their way down. So the stairs were a welcome addition when they were added. All right, Jay Stewart says 50 degrees today here over where he is in the UK. Storms blowing through all weekend. It's kind of a bummer, to be honest. I'm gonna cut over to the grass here. And Del J, what counts as early? I feel like I'm missing some context on that question. What counts as amazing? I feel like I'm missing some context on these questions. Elena Christine just came back. It was really windy / cold for us yesterday. Oh, it sure was. We stayed at the Hyatt at the Washington Mall. Thanks for the trip hacks. No problem. Try to come back next time on hopefully a little bit better weather day. I personally don't mind a cold day, a brisk day. What I do mind is a windy day. When it's windy, it just feels unpleasant to me. And you just don't get the same vibe on a cold, windy day. Like, for example, you had Colada Shop. They were all closed up. The windows were all closed up. Over here at Hank's, nobody's sitting outside. Well, some people are sitting outside. Some brave souls are sitting outside. But if you came here on a nice spring day, or even a decent winter day, if it was like 55 degrees and no wind, every one of these tables outside, people would be sitting at. All right, this is the Recreation Pier. I want to come out here because I want to get to the end of the pier and take a peek at phase 2 of the wharf, which should be opening this year. They're still saying it's scheduled for 2022. We'll see. It's not open yet, but we'll see. Today's adventure, I'm hoping to time the Cherry Blossom Festival right. First time in DC. Okay, we gotta have real talk now. You can't time the cherry blossoms, guys. You can't do it. And if you try, you're gonna wind up disappointed. So what you have to do is you have to come expecting that you're not going to get a peak bloom, and then be pleasantly surprised if you do, because it kills me when people tell me they tried to time peak bloom and they missed it. And last year was actually the perfect example of this. Peak bloom was predicted for April 1st for weeks and weeks, and then we got one weekend that was just really, really warm in March, mid-March, and it sped the blossoms through, and then they peaked about a week early. All right, Elena Christine, thank you for the super chat, my friend, or the super sticker. Very much appreciated. All right, Jay Stewart wants to know if there is a Nats store, or am I imagining that? The Nationals team store would be at Nationals Park, which is about 1.5 miles away. So not over here, but not too far away. So this is phase 2 of the wharf, which you can really start to see coming together now, I feel like. So this is going to have all the things: office buildings, hotel, apartments, condos, restaurants, stores, Pretty much everything you could want is going to be at Wharf Phase 2. Only one hotel as far as I know. It is going to be Pendry or Pendy. Can't remember exactly what it's called. My understanding is that it's a very, very high-end hotel, like a Ritz-Carlton caliber hotel. So probably not where I would stay if I was coming to Washington, D.C., but it's coming. It's going to be there. Walter's World, good to see you, my friend. CVS is everywhere. Oh, there's a CVS on every corner around here, of course. Kenesha wants to know, does Shop Made in DC ship? Yes, they do. That is one of their, one of the nice things about it is if you come to DC and you go in there, find a souvenir you like, but it's big or you just don't have space in your suitcase, so you don't want to lug it back home, they will ship it to you. So will Steadfast Supply. Any good store will ship nowadays. It's 2022. Mark Finley, good to see you, my friend. Looks too cold for me, says Mark. Yeah, if you have Texas blood, this might be a bit too chilly. About 40 degrees. We have less than 30 days till spring. So today's February 20th. The first day of spring is on March 20th. But because February has 2 fewer days, then at least 2 fewer days than the other months, we only have 28 days left until the first day of spring, March 20th. So it will be here soon. Abigail K says, I miss Washington, D.C. so bad. Kenesha says, CVS is everywhere, not many Walgreens. I wonder why. Yeah, there's a few Walgreens. Not a ton. Compared to CVS, very, very few. Most of the Walgreens are, I guess, in the downtown area. There's a Walgreens on U Street. There's a Walgreens over by Metro Center. But not sure why. Can't answer that question. Vivian Young is also watching on the big screen. Happy to hear it. Hopefully the video quality is sufficient for your big screens. Your high-def 70-inch screens. And Batdog says, didn't the VP go to Colada a few months back? Yes. Yes, she did. And Today's Adventures says, videos are so helpful. Happy to hear it. And Simona, ciao from Italy. Ciao. Welcome. And Wei-Il from Nebraska. I'm sorry, I'm sure I mispronounced that. Going to be in DC next week. Good to hear it. And PBX, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Very much appreciated. Vivian Young says 32 degrees in New York City. And Eddie Saunders says, looks busier at the Wharf than last May's visit. I think it probably is. Although today is not a great outdoor day, so this is very low crowds compared to what it will be in 1 month. This is the kind of place where when the weather's nice, it is poppin', and when the weather's poor, it's kind of meh, like it is right now. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually think that's a nice thing, because I hate fending off the crowds. I like coming when there's a light crowd. All right, now, if you saw my Instagram story yesterday, I was calling out this new spot here, Boardwalk. They just opened, I think they just opened on Friday. But, you know, these places have soft openings and promo events. I never get invited to those, but they are open to the public as far as I know. And it is a bar, restaurant. They've got arcade games. And I remember the last time I did a live walk around the Wharf, someone was saying, hey, where's that new arcade going to go? And at the time I had no idea. And I assumed it was going to go on to Phase 2. But it is right here, so it's right next to Ben & Jerry's, if you're looking for it. So this building on the end here, this one there, that is the Canopy Hilton at the Wharf, so you can stay there. And then this one right next door on the other side of Boardwalk, this one is the Hyatt House. So if you are staying at the Wharf at either of those hotels, get bored, or you have kids, bring them down to Boardwalk, play some games. I would go in and play the claw game right now, but I believe you have to set up one of those cards and load money onto it, and I'd have to put my mask on and It's all too awkward to do while holding this camera, trying to do the live stream, so maybe I'll save it for another video. If you want to see me go into the boardwalk and play the claw game, leave a chat, or if you're watching this on the replay, leave a comment. We'll see if I can win anything in the claw. That is one thing I do whenever I travel to any other city. If I find a claw game, I always play it, try to win, try to get some cheesy little plush thing to bring home with me. Sometimes they're easier than others. All right, Del J asks, how early do you have to book to get an amazing deal? I mean, it really just depends, to be honest. There's so many factors that goes into it. What I do, if you watch my how to get a deal on a hotel video, my tip is this. As soon as you have decided on your dates for your trip, go ahead and book the hotel. And then every once in a while, go back. Oh, and book a refundable rate. That's the key thing. You have to book a refundable rate. And then every few days or every week, depending how busy you are, just go back and see if the price has changed. And if it's gone up, well, great. You locked in early and you got a great rate. And if it goes down, well, then you just cancel your original reservation and make a new one at the lower rate. And so that is what I typically do, and that is what I recommend doing. That is the best way to secure an amazing deal. There's really not a lot of tricks when it comes to this. It's really just kind of common sense stuff like that. Eddie Saunders says, we lucked out with the cherry blossoms once on a scheduled visit, 2020. And we know how 2020 tourism went. Yeah, 2020 we had an early bloom. That was, I want to say we hit peak around like March 20th, right around the first day of spring. We had a really early bloom that year. And I actually did not even go out to see the blossoms in 2020 because that was right at the start of COVID. And everybody was still kind of guessing, what should we do, what shouldn't we do? Everybody was staying home. I was staying home. So I didn't even see them in 2020, but I did see them in 2021. Very happy I was able to get out last year. Jimmy, hello from Florida. Yes, I know you're signed up for a TripXDC tour next month. Looking forward to seeing you and your family. And Robert Hughes, hello from Georgia. By the way, if you have just tuned in, my name is Rob. I'm a tour guide and the founder of TripXDC Tours. And if you're joining me here live, go ahead and leave a chat and let me know where you're tuned in from in the world and what it's like weather-wise where you are. It's a little chilly today here in Washington, D.C., but curious to know what it's like wherever you are. All right, Eddie Saunders says, video quality is great. I am happy to hear that. Reesehead wants me to take a dip. Does that mean jump in the water? Or is that slang for something else? I will not be jumping in the channel today. Pedro. Okay, Bello. And Bat Dog, wasn't there a nice restaurant where the boardwalk was? I was trying so hard in the moment to remember what used to be where the boardwalk was, and I cannot remember what business it was. So if you can remember, please leave a chat and remind us what business used to be in that space. Because I know it was under construction for quite a while. They were rebuilding the space. But I just cannot for the life of me remember what used to be there. All right, so this is another one of the piers. Now, I'm coming down here because when you get to the end of the pier, you get to one of those quote-unquote secret spots. Got a low-flying helicopter over here today. If you've ever come on a TripXDC tour, you know we see about 20 of those over the course of the tour. They tend to fly this route. All right, Elena wants to know, what is it now? I feel like I'm missing context on these questions. Dave Wheeler, is this where the water taxi is? Yes, almost. I will show you exactly where that is in a moment, Dave. And Eddie Saunders, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Very much appreciated. Look forward to taking you out on tour again next month, or in a month and a half, I suppose. All right, now you got to admit, this is a pretty cool spot right here. I'm gonna grab one of these chairs. Enjoy the view over here. This is one of these spots where I kind of feel bad showing it to people. Kind of want to keep it a secret, you know. But this is the Washington Channel. Connects to the Potomac River at the very far end down there. And then on the other side of the water, that is East Potomac Park, or what the sign called Haynes Point. Haynes Point is technically just the far end of the park. Down at the very end is officially Haynes Point. The whole park is East Potomac Park. So this is a pretty cool spot to come in, chill, relax, sit under the awning, get a little shade. You can just barely see the Jefferson Memorial right over there. And then you can definitely see the Washington Monument over on that side. And then you got a cool view of the wharf over here. Now the question about the water taxi. So the water taxi goes to the transportation pier, which is this one right there. And so I'll walk over there and see what's going on. That's where they have the ice skating rink. So I'm going to try to get up close to the ice skating rink and look at that. But that's on the transportation pier. It's called the transportation pier, obviously, because that is where the water taxi transportation goes. So that's where you catch it. I believe water taxi is still on winter break. It is a seasonal thing, so they do take a break in the winter and should be back in March. Now in 2021, water taxi was only 5 days per week. They were not running on Monday and Tuesday. So I have not double checked to see what their hours are looking like this year, but just be careful about that if you are planning to use the water taxi. Because I know a few people who got caught off guard last year when they wanted to ride it on Monday or Tuesday, only to get over here to discover that it does not run on Monday and Tuesday. And Reese Head HMX. Is that the name of the place that used to be where Boardwalk is? Yoshi's Productions, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Very much appreciated. Yoshi's Productions, proud owner of a Trip Hacks DC t-shirt. Won as a giveaway last year, or 2 years ago, whenever that was. Jay Stewart wants to know, was that Marine One? No, it was not. Marine One flies with at least 2 other helicopters, and it flies a different route. But when you come on your Trip Hacks DC tour this summer, Jay, we're going to see plenty of those Marine helicopters. Usually see about 10 to 20 of them, maybe not that many. Feels like it, though, during the course of a Trip Hacks DC tour. And Bat Dog says, last time I was there on a Saturday, the area right there had a massive yoga class. Yeah, they do. They do stuff like that. They do huge yoga classes. They did. Last year they brought in a bunch of Peloton bikes. Did those group classes. Now this restaurant's straight ahead, Ilili, brand new. Well, brand new-ish, I suppose. I have not been. I've heard positive reviews. These 2 places over here, La Vie and Mi Vida. These are some of the OG Wharf restaurants. And they usually have a pretty good fire going over here in the winter. Probably easier to see when it gets dark, what the flame looks like here. But now these people in the back over there lined up for s'more materials. You can get your graham cracker, your marshmallow. Let's see, okay, this kid's got 2 sticks there. He'll probably be roasting them soon. So that's a fun thing for the kids. Very happy to see this place, Bistro du Jour, because this used to be a gelato coffee place, and it was very sad when that closed. So happy to see that it has been already replaced. Don't you just like this little camper here where you get your s'mores? That's kind of cool. It smells good over here too. Not something that you can appreciate on the live stream, but the burning wood does smell quite good. And Eddie Saunders says, if you stay on the wharf, you'll see the helicopters zipping around. Sure will. Robert Hughes coming back to DC on April 9th. Do you think we'll see the cherry blossoms? Probably not. Remember, the odds are always against you because the Cherry Blossom Festival runs for about 3.5 weeks, but the blossoms are only in full peak bloom for about a month. So I guess I should back that up and say you will see something in bloom, but the odds are against you to see the full peak bloom. There's always something in bloom, though. That's the good news. All right, I'm gonna head down over by the ice rink. This is one of the stages where they do summertime concerts, if you are here in the summer. Find out what day they're doing live music. Head on over here and enjoy that. So this is the Wharf ice skating rink. There are 4 ice skating rinks in DC, or at least 4 really popular ones. There's the Sculpture Garden on the National Mall. There's Georgetown, which I believe is the biggest. There's this one, the Wharf, which I want to say is the smallest, or at least it looks the smallest. And then you have Capitol Riverfront over by the Navy Yard Metro, a couple blocks from Nationals Park. And that one is also fairly small. It's not in an oval shape, though. It's kind of in a unique shape. So let me know if you've ice skated at any of these rinks. I got to turn back around because can't get to the rink from this direction. All right, Jay Stewart says, not staying near the wharf, but we'll head down for a look around. Can always head down here for a look around. And Reesehead bikes down to the wharf often. Good to hear it. And Ward Cook has been watching the videos over the last couple of weeks. Used to live in DC and now run a DC-focused travel agency in Kansas City. Pretty cool. Walter's World thinks this all looks pretty fancy. And makes a good point. 43 watching, but only 24 likes. That math doesn't add up. So give this video a like if you're enjoying it. And good to see you, Walter's World. By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, The Shocks of DC, both mine and Mark's, now available, now published. So Walter's World has a Shocks of insert many cities, and so I kind of piggybacked on that, but I tried to pick different Shocks than Mark did. So if you haven't seen either, go ahead and watch them both. You can find mine on this channel, obviously. Find the other one over on Walter's World. And if you've seen them, let me know what you thought. Okay, Ward Cook loves the new Wharf. And Eddie Saunders said, Shake Shack, best food on the Wharf. Only kidding, but it's a good burger. It is a good burger. Now, one of my extremely controversial opinions is that I think that the chicken sandwich is better at Shake Shack than at the Wharf, than the burger is. I actually just got Shake Shack yesterday, and I got this seasonal buffalo chicken sandwich, and it was good. So I do get both. I will get the burger if I'm in the mood for it, but I actually think the chicken is better than the burger at Shake Shack. So those are fighting words, I know. People are very particular about their fast food burgers. All right, so here's a better view of the ice rink. Now, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I did the live stream with Megan, the Megan Daly, and she, it turns out, is a former ice skater and gave me lots of good info about what to look for in an ice rink. And so one thing I learned was that ideally you want to have an ice rink that is the size of a hockey rink, and this is definitely not. And the other thing that's good to look for is an ice rink that has a good amount of space around the perimeter for people who are less confident skating. You can grab onto the outside and help yourself around. If you're not as confident of a skater, that's definitely helpful. Now, I personally think you can't go wrong at any of the ice rinks in DC if you're just going for fun. Now, if you're going to try to practice for a competition, you probably want to go to an actual skating facility. But if you're just doing it for fun, can't go wrong here. And this rink here at the Wharf, they actually did curling a few times during the Olympics. The one time every 4 years when people get into curling, including me. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to come down because I think they did it on Wednesday evenings, which are not the best time for me, but they did it. If you wanted to try out curling, you had your shot. All right, missed some comments here. Okay, Reesehead says the ice rink near the Navy Yard is neat, has a little restaurant in the middle. Yeah, that is definitely a benefit to that one. There's Wise Guy Pizza right there, which is excellent pizza, in my opinion. And if you are curious about pizza in Washington, D.C., next Sunday, 1 week from today, I will have a food video. It will include pizza. I know people want to see food content. That's one of the things that people ask for. So it's coming. The first of potentially several food videos this year will be next Sunday. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that one. And I'm extremely curious to know what folks think about that video. So make sure to leave a comment on it when it comes out. Let me know how you think I did. Okay. Mary Wu says, is there a microbrewery? Around here, no, but there are many in DC. I think we're up to over 10 breweries in DC now. Okay, Spencer Anderson loved the 2 Shocks of DC videos. Happy to hear it, Spencer. Thanks for watching those. And Walter's World says we had fun. And yes, there are going to be several more videos on the various Walters channels. So next week, we're talking about eating in DC. I believe that's going to be on Simply Jocelyn. All right? I think so. If Mark, if you can confirm about that. We're talking about food and restaurants in DC next weekend. And budget tips for DC the week after that. Those are all going to be good. Eddie Saunders says the Brighton was good too. Brighton is, I think it's like an English pub. Not usually my top choice, but Walter's World says I'm hungry. Got to be careful with food videos because you can make people hungry. All right, District Donut. If you want a donut, go to District Donut. There's plenty of good donut places in DC. But if you're going to get a donut in DC, don't go to the chain places. Go to District Donut or one of the other local spots. All right, this pier is the Market Pier. I believe this is the smallest of the piers here. So when they have special events, this one sometimes gets used for overflow for other things. But there's usually not a ton happening on this one. But I like to come out on this one because you get a pretty good view. I like this perspective, especially with the ice skaters there. I think that's pretty cool perspective. And I like this one because there is a pretty interesting statue at the end. All right, Bat Dog says, Hank's is way better, LOL. Better than what? Hank's Oyster Bar is good, but I don't know what you're thinking is better than. And Hostem from Libya, thanks for tuning in. Good to see you there. And Walter's World says, don't come to the wharf if you can't skate. I don't think that's what she's saying necessarily. But if you, I think if you are a little less confident with your skating, what I'll say is probably don't come on Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon when the most number of people here. Maybe come first thing in the morning when they open, or on a weekday when there's fewer people here, because I'm not a very confident skater, and I feel like when there's a lot of people around, it can be a little intimidating. And today's adventure says, I don't really see many restaurants at the wharf. Am I missing them? I see a few snack places. I haven't really called out the big sit-down restaurants. There's quite a few. I haven't really called out every place, though. But if you go onto the Wharf website, you can see a big list of all the places. And, oh yes, Eddie Saunders says, last time I was at the Wharf, they had a distillery. That's this place up here with the big smokestack. It says Thrasher's Rum. So not quite a brewery, but a distillery. If you like rum, I'm not really a big liquor guy myself. Now this statue straight ahead, this is called the Maine Lobsterman. And this is dedicated to lobstermen from Maine. There are actually 3 of these in existence. 2 of them are in the state of Maine, and the 3rd here in Washington, D.C. And it was not always on this location. So it used to be way down at the other end. So like way far down at the other end over there. And when they started doing the wharf redevelopment, they needed to move it. They needed to move it so they could do construction. And so it made it over here, and I think it's really cool. And I also think it's kind of a shame that so many people walk past and don't even notice this guy here. Because people are always asking me for the hidden gems, and the hidden gems are often not hidden. They're hidden in plain sight, if you will. All right, Bat Dog says, next time Walter's World is in DC, we should do a beer review with me. That would be fun. Last time Walter's World was in DC was only for a short time, so we only had enough time to do what we did. But next time, let us know what you want to see. We did drink beer together, but did not record it. And Jay Stewart says, GB, Great Britain won the curling. Only medals we won. Surely not the only medals. Was that the men's or the women's? Or both? I do kind of enjoy watching the curling every 4 years. Not something I'm going to watch all the time, though. And Sirefort asks, do I think there's any chance the Capitol will be open for the Cherry Blossom Festival? I wouldn't say there's 0% chance, but it's basically 0% chance, I would think. But sometimes you get lucky and something opens up that you weren't expecting, kind of like what happened last year with the Smithsonian when they reopened a little bit faster than anticipated. Some of their museums, anyway. Now, the fish market, it looks quite a bit different than in the past. Captain White's used to be here on the end, and unfortunately, one day they unhooked, they unanchored, and they just floated down the river, and they left. And I understand it was a dispute with the landlord. I swear it feels like every time a business goes under around here, it is a result of a dispute with the landlord. So the fish market is quite a bit different looking than in the past. A bit sad about that. We'll see if anything else comes in. And Jack Colvin from Austin heard the Anthem is a great venue. It is a great venue. Washington, D.C. has a surprisingly good live music scene. The 930 Club is the most famous spot, of course. But the Anthem is very good. And Eddie Saunders says, yes, there's quite a few restaurants. The area is quite big. I haven't called out all the restaurants, which is probably why it doesn't look like there's that many. Now, Gordon Ramsay is opening a restaurant in Phase 2, And curious to know what you think about this. I'm a little annoyed by this. We're gonna have a Gordon Ramsay restaurant in DC, and I believe it's going to be one of his first on the East Coast, at least one that's not in a casino. And I'm a little annoyed by this because I have been to only one Gordon Ramsay restaurant, and it was in Las Vegas, and it was a terrible experience. So, not really thrilled that one of the new restaurant spaces is going to be his, but alas. All right, yes, Walter's World confirming the food video will be on Simply Jocelyn, so make sure you head over and subscribe to Simply Jocelyn if you aren't already, so you can see the foods of DC over there. All right, Southwest Soda Pop Shop, good spot for ice cream, milkshake, some kind of delicious frozen treat, and Falafel Inc., one of the few true cheap eats in DC. Also very good if you're a vegetarian. And so, yes, budget tips on Walter's World, food video on Simply Jocelyn. Eddie Saunders says, I'm biased towards the English pubs. I'm actually surprised about that, because I feel like if you are from the UK or you're from Ireland or, you know, someplace like that, you might not actually like a British pub or an Irish pub over here because they're kind of phony. So, but hey, that's good to know if you like them. That must mean they're at least decent. And Dave Wheeler saw the album cover that we did with Walter's World. That was good. That was just a fun thing. I don't know why, I even know why we took that photo together with that pose. I think it was originally going to be for a thumbnail or something, but then we were joking about how it should be an album cover, and I turned it into one. And Ward Cook says homemade Pop-Tarts are the best at Ted's Bulletin. Yeah, those are pretty good if you're looking for a treat, a sweet treat. Ted's Bulletin makes their own Pop-Tarts. Now Jay Stewart's going to be going to English pubs in DC too, thanks to Eddie Saunders. And Alexis, hello from Michigan. Good to see you there. Visiting in May. Videos have been helpful. Very happy to hear it. Ward Cook wants to know if the hotels on the Wharf are worth the price. It's kind of impossible to answer that because everybody values different things. So whether the price is worth it to you depends on kind of what you value. For some people, I think the answer is definitely yes, and for other people, the answer might be no, but if I was visiting Washington, D.C., and I was only here for a short amount of time, I would say yes, because not just because you've got this stuff here, but because you're pretty close to a lot of other stuff. You can walk to the Air and Space Museum in 10 minutes. You can walk to the Jefferson Memorial in 10 minutes. Jay Stewart says the men won the silver and the women the gold in curling. Worst Winter Olympics for Great Britain in some time. As Heaven Cortez says, Captain White sailed away. Literally, it sailed away, floated down the river. Yeah, so on a nice spring day, summer day, it gets extremely crowded in here, especially on the weekend. And they actually are moving one of the National Cherry Blossom Festival events, Pedal-Palooza. So Pedal-Palooza, which was originally called the Southwest Community Festival, and most people know it as the event with the fireworks, because at the end of the festival they have a fireworks show at dark. And so it's been at the Wharf the last few years, but it just gets so crowded in here. So they're moving it to the yards this year, and I actually think it's a good move because there's just more space over there, more space to spread out, and I think it's needed. So if you're coming for that event, Pedal-Palooza, don't come over here this year. Go to the yards, but the fireworks are still happening. 8:30 the fireworks are scheduled for. Bat Dog, also not a fan of Gordon Ramsay restaurants. Problem is that you go to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant, it's not like he's in the back cooking your beef Wellington, you know? So I don't really understand what the point of it is, I suppose. So any hack for getting to the Udvar Hazy Museum without a car from the Wharf? So that's a tough one. Probably the least painful way to do it is to take the metro, the Silver Line, out as far as you can go, which right now is most of the way there. Soon-ish, hopefully, fingers crossed, Silver Line to Dulles will open, and then that will give you a new option. But for now, I would take the Silver Line to the end of the line as far as you can go, and then I would take a cab or an Uber the rest of the way. That's probably the least painful way to do it. If you try to take it exclusively on public transportation, like metro and then a bus, it's probably going to take at least 2 hours. And that's like a 4-hour round trip, which I would say is probably not worth it. All right, Dave Wheeler has convinced his wife to try Ethiopian food. Do it, it's so good. And Eddie Saunders also recommending the Elephant and Castle on Pennsylvania Avenue if it's still open. I don't know if that one's still open. That is also a British pub. Okay, Truth888 wants to know, when is Wharf Phase 2 opening? So there's no specific date yet, but they have said 2022. So probably, if I had to guess, I would say probably not till at least October this year. But that's just a guess. That's just a wild guess. And Kanisha wants to know, in my opinion, what is the best Ethiopian restaurant? So, in my opinion, the best one is whichever one is closest to you. I don't really think there's any that are like obviously the best or obviously better than any others. But I was just recommending to one of my tour customers from about a month ago. They were staying over near Union Station, and I said, oh, just go to Ethiopic over on H Street because it's just over there. So for most people, it's just going to be wherever you're staying is probably which one I'm going to recommend to you. So if you're staying over near Union Station, Ethiopic is pretty close. If you're staying like near the White House, you could probably go to any of the ones like up in Shaw. Those are all pretty close-ish to where you're staying. So I don't think there's a single best one. And I also haven't eaten at all of them, to be honest. So I'm not really a good person to make that call. Hector Sosa, a little late, but wanted to say hi. Good to see you there, Hector. And yeah, so Evan has the answer. If you want to do it fully by public transportation, you take the Silver Line from L'Enfant Plaza to the end, and then you take the Fairfax Connector the rest of the way. So you can do it, and it will be very inexpensive to do it that way, but it'll also be very slow. John McDonald flying into Washington, D.C. in May from Scotland. Been 5 years, and can't wait. Good to hear it, John. Mary Wu loves the Elephant and Castle in Chicago. Had no idea Elephant and Castle was such a popular spot. All right, Yoshi's Productions wants to know, have I used mobile payment on the metro or the bus, and what is my thought? So yes, I have a few videos about how to use the new mobile payment. So I have an Android phone, so I use Google Pay, but it's the same process if you have an iPhone. It's just Apple Pay. I think it's still a little early. It's still a little buggy. I actually don't use it for my everyday riding. So when I was coming over here to the Wharf, I rode Metro to L'Enfant Plaza. I just used my regular plastic Smart Trip card. And so my advice on this is, you can do it if you are comfortable with that technology generally. So think of it this way. If you go into CVS or Walgreens, when you get to the checkout, what are you pulling out to pay? Are you pulling out a Visa card, or are you pulling out your iPhone? And if the answer is a plastic credit card, then I would probably not do it. If you are just a regular user of Google Pay, Apple Pay, then yeah, go for it. But I personally think it's still a little early, it's still a little buggy. I know on the videos I've made up about it, I've gotten quite a few people who are basically requiring like help desk support, which I cannot provide because I don't know what kind of phone you have, I don't know what you've tried, I don't know what you've done, why it's not working, but it seems like some people are struggling with it. So if you just use a plastic card, like it's just gonna work. And so that's my thoughts on it. I have a lot of thoughts on that. All right, gonna wrap up soon. But have a few more questions. Mike B wants to know, are there any good laundry services for long-term stays? Ooh, that's a good question. I would just use whatever the hotel offers, to be honest. If you're staying at a hotel, they all offer some kind of laundry service, and it's probably going to be a little pricey, but it's so convenient. Like whenever I've stayed at a hotel, if I needed something cleaned, it's just like you put it in the bag, and then they just come get it, and then like it just magically reappears clean later on. So that's what I would say about that. But if you're not staying at a hotel, I don't know. I would try to find a place that has like a washer and dryer in the unit if you're doing like a short-term rental, so you can just do it yourself. Christine Riley flying into DC on Tuesday. Good to hear it. Kanisha has used the mobile payments and love it. And yes, Evan Cortez, good points. Plastic Metro cards bought before 2012 won't work anymore, starting on March 1st, which is only like a week away. So if you haven't replaced your old plastic cards, do it soon. I believe I was reading an article that said that a large percentage of the old cards in circulation have not been replaced. So a lot of people are going to be in for a rude awakening on March 1st when their card no longer works. I had 2 or 3 of those old cards. I mailed them in, and then like 2 weeks later, I got new ones mailed back to me. So it was fairly easy to replace it, but if you haven't done it yet, you better hurry up. Otherwise, you might be in for a rude awakening in a week. All right, Bat Dog says, my phone doesn't have signal on half the stations, so I'm leery of it. Yeah, there's no, if you're uncomfortable, if you're not comfortable, just use a plastic Smart Trip card. Just use what's tried and true and you know will work. And Christine Riley asks, is there a market building that houses a wide range of eateries? So there's a few food halls. Union Market, probably the most famous one, or at least the most popular one. I would probably go there because they have a lot of choices. But there's a new place over by the Potomac Avenue Metro Station that I'm going to be checking out soon. So there's that. There's the Block downtown. So there's some good ones. Jay Stewart, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Very much appreciated. Enjoy a coffee or beer on me. I certainly will. I desperately need a coffee this afternoon. And I've got some other stuff I need to do. So I'm going to get that coffee and stay caffeinated. And so I'm going to be wrapping up here now. So just a few programming notes. So this will be the last live stream this winter. I have regular recorded videos scheduled for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So there's going to be that food video next week that I mentioned. There's going to be an update video for this year's Cherry Blossom Festival, which will be extremely important if you're visiting in March or April, so make sure you subscribe and watch that. There will be an update video on things that are new in 2021. I think that's going to have some interesting things if you're visiting, 2022, not 2021. So if you're visiting in 2022, you'll want to make sure that you watch that so you know what's new and you don't miss anything exciting that you want to see. And then once the Cherry Blossom Festival starts, I will restart these live streams. So I will probably do a live stream on the day of the parade. I will probably do one on the day of Pedalpalooza and maybe one other one. Haven't decided yet. So if you want to hang out during the Cherry Blossom Festival, I am planning on doing a few during the festival weeks this year as well. All right, so thank you everybody for tuning in. Christine Riley, Bat Dog, Hero, good to see you. Sear Fort, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And make sure to subscribe. Make sure to head over to Walter's World to watch our collaboration video and subscribe to Simply Jocelyn so you can watch that collaboration video as well. Evan Cortez, Jay Stewart, Dave Wheeler, thank you everyone for tuning in. And if you are a Trip Hacks DC Insider, there will be an extended walk. Give me about 5 minutes and then I will get that going. And as I say at the end of all of these, enjoy your trip.